You know what this means, guys? Expendables 3. That's right, man. I got the bandana of Sylvester Stallone, got the glasses of the Terminator, and I got the gun. Yeah, let's fuck shit up. Yes, let's fuck shit up, man. That was a terrible impression of Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'm sorry, but you know what? Fuck it. Let's just have some fun, man. Ready? Let's start shooting some motherfuckers up. The Expendables 3. So The Expendables 3 is the third installment in this Expendables franchise. This franchise is pretty much a throwback to the 80s and 90s action films, and it stars all of our 80s action heroes. I mean, you got Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Let me just say this right now, I'm not like big on the Expendables franchise because the first one, here's the problem with the first one. The movie took itself way too seriously. There were some parts that were fun, mostly the end battle scene, but the CGI blood was terrible and the movie just was lackluster. It wasn't the movie that we wanted it to be. But my favorite of this trilogy is Expendables 2 because the movie was like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's not take ourselves seriously. Let's just have fun with it. And it was so much fun. The movie knew it was terrible. It wasn't good. I mean, the dialogue is shitty. Everything about the movie is crap. But the movie is fun. And I'll tell you right now, the Expendables 3 isn't as good as the second one. First off, the biggest problem with Expendables 3, it takes itself just a little bit too seriously, and some of that fun element is missing in this film. And this movie is PG-13, so you can tell right away on some of the action scenes that you can tell they just had to cut it because it will be rated R. There's some action scenes where it's just edited poorly. It's just choppily edited because it was supposed to be rated R, but they put it to PG-13 so they can make more money, so it just doesn't look right. And that's my biggest problem with this, is that yeah, people will say a rating does not make a movie better, but the whole point of this franchise is so that us 80s, 90s action fans to enjoy seeing our favorite 80s action heroes on the big screen just fucking, cursing, doing what they do best, seeing blood, them exploiting heads all over the place. I know people are gonna be like, well, it doesn't necessarily make a movie better, but that's the whole point of it. You're just supposed to have fun with it, and making it PG-13 just makes it feel bland. It feels like every other generic action movie that comes out nowadays. And also, one of the worst things about this movie, unfortunately, is the new young cast. They're so bland, you don't give a fuck about them. And the whole point of the movie is that Sylvester Stallone has to rescue them from Mel Gibson, and you're just like, why rescue them? Why? You don't care for them. And also, there's too many characters. That's the problem. This young cast could have been edited out of the movie and it would have been perfect, because the stars in this movie, besides the young cast, is great. You have Sylvester Stallone, Jason Statham, Terry Crews, Randy Couture, Dolph Lundgren, Jet Li, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Harrison Ford, Antonio Banderas, Kelsey Grammer, Mel Gibson, and Wesley Snipes. This is a badass cast. You don't need the young guys, we just want to focus on them. Let me just say, Wesley Snipes in this movie, he kicked ass. Once I watched him, I was like, you know what? He's ready for Blade 4. You can tell watching this movie, he's just having a lot of fun. You're like, if there's a Blade 4, Wesley Snipes, go for it, man, because it looks like you're already ready for a Blade 4. And I was surprised by Antonio Banderas. He was really funny, he was really energetic, he was crazy. And also too, I really liked Mel Gibson in this movie. I thought he kicked ass as the villain. He was, in my opinion, more better than Jean-Claude Van Damme. And I thought Jean-Claude Van Damme kicked ass in Expendables 2. But I feel in this movie, Mel Gibson brought an awesome performance. Harrison Ford kicked ass in this movie too. His character introduction is badass. He said, there's this one line that he says in the movie, and I'm like, fuck yeah. Bring it on, Han Solo. But I felt he could have been used a little bit more in the movie. I mean, he doesn't get to shoot. He just drives this helicopter and starts shooting with the helicopter. I would have liked to see his hands get dirty and start beating people up. Overall, there are points in this movie where you can have a lot of fun. Is it a terrible movie? Yeah. It's not a good movie. I mean, the lines, the dialogue in this movie is fucking terrible. I mean, the acting's a great, no. But if you're a fan of the franchise, you're a fan of the 80s, 90s action films genre, and you're a fan of all of these guys, except the young cast. If you're a fan of Sylvester Stallone, Schwarzenegger, Statham, all these guys in the movie, then you're gonna have a fun time with it. Did I have a fun time with it? Yeah, it was okay. It wasn't as good as Expendables 2, but it wasn't bad as Expendables 1. So I'm gonna give Expendables 3 a C+. There are points throughout this movie where you can have a lot of fun with, but those are a lot of points throughout this movie where it just takes itself way too seriously, and the young cast they're just uncharismatic, they're so bland, you don't care for them. And there are points with this movie where some of the action scenes, they feel bland, because they don't add anything new. If you're a fan of this franchise, you're gonna like some points of this movie. You're gonna be bothered by its PG-13 rating, and you're gonna be bothered by the young cast, but it's pretty much what you want from Expendables movie. All your action heroes are there, and at points it's a pretty fun movie, but not as good as Expendables 2. So guys, that is my early review for the Expendables 3. Thank you guys so much for watching my video, and have a nice day.